We've made it to the grand finals here. We're expecting mirrors all the way through. The Rogue Mage Druid going up against the Rogue Mage Druid here in this situation. Diabolous won 3-0 against Method Black earlier in the bracket. Now Method Black have their second chance, their chance for redemption here, because as I was saying earlier, they are a team that really want to have momentum on their side. They want to consider themselves the best team in Europe going into that summer finals, where they will hope to represent Europe, bring home some BlizzCon spots, because I mean in Europe we definitely need some. Zico, we're currently sitting at 1, North America has 2, and this is the kind of foundation for that. Diabolous were the team that made it to the summer or the spring finals. Now Method Black looking to kind of upset them a little bit, get that victory. I'm your host, Healing Stat. We have Ben, Ruki, Supertees, and Zico on the desk for the European Grand Finals here on Championship Sunday. Who are we expecting to come out on top? Is it still Diabolous, or do you think that Method Black will have had some time to kind of consider? I mean, for example, Waz, I think he threw a couple of those games in the last series.
Yeah, give me a game. I want to say, if Method Black loses game 1, I think they're gonna get flushed in this series.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think the emotions are gonna get the better end of them. However, if they win game number 1, I think they can ride that momentum. Being on that comeback train against Wildcard Gaming is definitely gonna help them kind of keep the morale high and you know, find win opportunities when they can get them.
Yeah, and I mean, as a very experienced former competitor yourself, Enrique, how important is it to just kind of have that momentum on your side? I feel like that's actually a big factor in a series like this. Method Black, sure, potentially they're a bit fatigued, but equally, they're probably buzzing right now.
No, I mean, Diabolous, they have to be feeling really good in this situation. I mean, sending Method Black to the lower bracket, they almost got eliminated by Wildcard Gaming. For Method Black, it's going to be about refocusing. I mean, these guys are veterans at this point. They've been competing for a really long time. They're the type of players that should be able to shake off a loss like that. And I've had the opportunity to talk to Raikou in the past, and he says he actually plays better when he's on the back foot, and he's upset. Like, when he gets in these situations, he actually gets upset. He gets a little pissed off, he's said in the past. And when he plays that happens, he says he plays better than ever. So they might be able to come out back in this series quite easily. This is going to be a best of 7. I have to kind of agree with Zico. I feel like the team that wins this game number 1 is just going to be able to ride that momentum all the way to the finish.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Raikou is definitely a player that gets very invested in being the best mage, and it's something that you really want to see from someone in these competitions, just being competitive, not being afraid to say, hey, I am the best, and when he's not considering himself the best, prove himself as that number 1 once again. There is a reason that Raikou and Waz's characters on the live servers have been often known as Best World, both of them running that name. They really love to keep that up. Here is an opportunity. It's going to be the mirror matches against Diabolous for the grand finals of European Cup 5.
If we assess Method Black's entire tournament this weekend, though, this is the closest it's been for them in a long time. They lost 2 games to change my mind. They lost 3-0 to Diabolous earlier on in the tournament, and then lost 2 games to Wildcard Gaming. Certainly the European region has leveled up. It's not so clearly defined that Method Black are the kings, that they are the best in the world anymore, as their rivals are leveling up.
Yeah, let's see how they open up this game. Waz actually going to be going for Asgard, but a preemptive Iron Bark on that kidney shot should keep him alive. Let's see, is he going to overlap that with the Bark skin? Looks like he wants to hold on to that for now. Waz actually committing the Vendetta there. Might be a bit of a disrespect play there to not use the Bark skin. Asgard in huge trouble here. Method Black, though, should not be able to kill him here as Waz gets caught up in that defensive blind by Nixie.
Yeah, good defensive blind coming in. Asgraf able to stabilize. Didn't actually trade out his trinket in the course of all that, so it's not such a bad situation for him. And this is what Diabolous like to do, right? They are going for the mage race. They'll make it difficult for Raikou to get connection if they do make any swaps onto other targets. Method Black recognizing that, able to swap some damage of their own. Smoke bomb from Nixie. He's trying to get aggressive onto Raikou here. The race currently slightly favored, though Ice Block actually forced out. Overlap slightly with the safeguard. Small mistake from Alec could come back to bite them later in the game.
Definitely. I mean, that safeguard falls. Now Alec is in a little bit vulnerable here. Cheap shot onto Asgaroth. Can Raikou follow it up? He gets interrupted. Nice counterspell there by Alec. But Asgaroth, of course, is going to be put into the polymorph. Alec needs the line of sight. He needs to try to kite away. And Alec, this is something he's good at. He's good at just playing this defensive position where he drags Waz behind the pillar, puts him in a Nova. And now, as a result, he's not going to have to trade out that second ice block. However, Diabolous, they are a little bit behind in terms of that ice block race right now. We're 2 minutes into the game in terms of mana. How has Chaz used so much mana? What is going on?
It's a bit surprising early on from Method Black here. However, you say it's a little mistake using the Ice Block and the Gladiator Safeguard. I think it's probably the biggest mistake you can make in the matchup. That cooldown from the Trinket of the Gladiator Safeguard is a powerful absorption effect, and definitely don't want to be making a mistake similarly here as Raikou overlaps his Ice Block with the Gladiator Safeguard. You do dip so low on health and you have the threat of the spell steal, but if you can hold on to the Ice Block, it's going to give you a massive lead. Waz setting up with an interrupt onto the healer Azkarath. Alec the target. Big damage comboing in. Azkarath blocks it with Iron Bark.
Chaz now caught up in a Sheep Shot into Ring of Frost combo right there. And we can see here if they're able to reverse that pressure. Chaz has his Iron Bark, so if Raikou doesn't drop too low, he should be able to recover with that cooldown. Chaz is going to be trading that out immediately as he exits the crowd control, looking to reverse the CC here onto Asgard. I believe Asgard actually shadow melded the bash right there. It looked like it certainly. Now Chaz caught up in a bash himself. No mage should be able to find crowd control here, and Asgard himself not able to find the Cyclone either. Instead going to be cycloning Waz and Nixie there, trading out his blind for Chaz's Trinket. Fair exchange. Raikou now polymorphing up Nixie. Chaz should be able to follow that up with a Cyclone after that Frost Nova. Nixie cloaking offensively. We saw what happened to Waz when that happened. And speaking of Waz, he currently does not have his Cloak of Shadows. Both of these rogues potential exposed targets if we're going to be judging anything of the previous series.
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting situation here. Both mages are holding on to their Cold Snap. Now, in dampening, we normally criticize this and say that it's quite risky, but before dampening starts, I actually don't completely dislike the play. I mean, yes, it's still risky because if you're forced into your second Ice Block after Cold Snap, then you lose a lot of cooldowns, but on the flip side, Ice Barrier is such a powerful tool right now for the mages that holding onto that Cold Snap basically gives them access to a second Ice Barrier if they need it, especially with both running Kleptomania. They could potentially Ice Barrier after a Kleptomania, or Ice Barrier twice effectively. We'll have to see though, obviously both of them just want to hold on to their Ice Blocks. Alex is rotating back up in round about a minute here. Mana has switched favor. Method Black going slightly ahead in this one, but Raikou's dropping low on health. With that Cold Snap available, he doesn't have an Ice Block for 2 minutes unless he reactivates that. And Alec, actually, the bargain does not pay off. He Cold Snaps, doesn't even go for the barrier play, goes for the second Ice Block. Now he's going to have 0 for 5 minutes, and this is what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, Ben. I just feel like this risk is... I mean, maybe it pays off sometimes with that barrier, but it just doesn't seem worthwhile in the grand scheme of things.
No, I mean, look at Raikou. He's in a similar situation. If he has to trade out his Cold Snap, then he's wasting a lot of time until that third Ice Block. I really don't understand the logic, but I mean, it seems like this is what all of these mages are doing. And now Alec in a situation where he doesn't have an Ice Block for quite some time. And I expect Alec to play very defensive for the next 4 minutes. Polymorph over onto Azkarath, and now Alec could be in a little bit of trouble. He's trying to run away, but a massive Comet Storm lands from Raikou. Nixie with a nice kidney shot denies a lot of that incoming damage. We look at mana. Right now, Azkarath, he's a little bit behind. Chaz has managed to hold on. I don't even think he's snuck away for a drink, but at the beginning of this game, I mean, Chaz, he was at 50% mana. Azkarath was around 80, and somehow now Azkarath is behind, and I'm not exactly sure why. I feel like Method Black, they've been able to put out a lot of damage so far in this matchup, and Diabolous has been on the back foot so far.
Alec is getting beaten up more than the drum that the Orc is beating on the top stage of the arena right now. Down 1 Ice Block and soon to be 2. Method Black appear to have returned with grace in game number 1, despite being 3-0'd earlier on. But of course, this is a best of 7, and reverse sweep is potential, as it's happened in the past. Big push here by Method Black to end the game. Azkarath in a polymorph. Alec looking to block and counter attack. Was now the target. I think Diabolous have realized they're not winning the mage race anymore, and it is time to change strategy.
They're definitely losing the mage race. Raikou about to receive his second Ice Block back off cooldown right there. He's gonna have 2 to work with now. Waz Safeguard was procced in that exchange, but he has every single defensive. And Chaz, he is currently dropping very low on mana. That is the only win condition right now for Diabolous. We can see Alec getting caught up in a big shadow combo there from Raikou, and then Cloak of Shadows and Evasion forced out. Now cheap shots from Waz, Ring of Frost secured by Raikou. Alec, what are you gonna do? There is the Kleptomania, and that is gonna be it. Method Black takes game number 1 against Diabolous, and it's looking like they're serious to win.
Yeah, Method Black coming back very strong in this final series. They're off the bat of that victory against Wildcard Gaming. Now looking to prove themselves here, Sid, just a little bit. What was the kind of difference, do you think, between this series and the last one? Do you just think they cleaned up their play a little bit going into the grand final?
It seems like they were more warmed up. I mean, they had to start off initially cold. Now they realized, or maybe they just had to, like a wake-up call, like they were playing slow or something, but their crowd control on Azkarath was a lot more frequency.
Yeah, I think that was a fair assessment. I mean, it just felt like Method Black were winning in the previous games as well, but then someone would make a big mistake like that, like Waz, for example, just trading out his cooldowns very aggressively, getting a little bit over-aggressive in those matchups, and then getting punished for it. And I feel like, I mean, this series is far from over. This is going to be a best of 7, and last time when they faced off in the grand finals, we went all the way to game 7, so I expect both of these teams to really put their best foot forward. And I mean, Diabolous, they had the mana lead, they did in the previous matchups, and that ended up being a big factor, but just this time around, too much pressure onto Alec. Here was, you know, trading all of his defense and also setting up for that game-winning crowd control at the same time. So expertly done there by Method Black. We're gonna see what map they decide to go for here in game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good showcase of just top-level Rogue Mage play on both sides. Diabolous and Method Black proving themselves time and time again to be the best in this meta in Europe. It's going to be really fun to see at the summer finals how they fare against Cloud9, who are the Rogue Mage dominating North America right now with the Rogue Mage Druid. So we'll have to see how this one does continue. Obviously, last weekend, it took 7 games to separate these two sides. They were incredibly close, and adaptations do come around. Like, for example, Diabolous in that one, they were losing on the Mage Race for a little bit. They tried to swap it up a little bit, but Waz does seem to have adapted. Like, he knew that he just made himself too much of an exposed target. He's just playing it more safe now, and if he does, then that makes it much harder for Diabolous to find kills.
We have to think about it. If the game is sort of evolved into a mage race, the rogues can get really comfortable in using, you know, a lot of their cooldowns, like the Cloak of Shadows and Vanish, aggressively to try to force out more cooldowns from the mage. The problem is you can be punished on that. Now that Waz has kind of realized he needs to be a little bit more careful in the matchup, I think it's unlikely that we really see him going down again. I mean, maybe if he's forced in a situation where he has to use those cooldowns aggressively, we could see Diabolous try to capitalize on a situation like that. But I think overall, I don't think the rogue really should be going down if he's expecting getting swapped to.
Yeah, in Method Black, they're also very good at kind of playing out these tournaments. They'll know that the other team is now very frustrated and kind of thrown off their game. They won 3 games in a row. They're expecting to come into this series on fire, so they're taking their time. They're a little bit, this is something that Method Black does, and I actually played against Swapsy a bunch in the past, and he always did this to me as well. If you lose a game against him, he'll pause a little bit just to make you kind of wallow in that defeat for a little bit longer, and it does actually hurt your mentality, especially when these games are going so long and you're putting so much effort into them, Zico. It's really tough to like accept a loss like that, and you just want to get straight back into the game, win your next one, and bounce back.
I feel like it depends on how bad the loss is. If it's like at the back of a really obvious mistake, like the one-time Ven did an ice block, then definitely, you know,
right. It's about as bad as it gets, right?
Yeah, I mean, then you just want to get back into it as soon as possible. But I feel like on the flip side,
uncalled for.
How many mages have died without blocking, but we still only ever bring this
I think it was only one, right?
Yeah, I think Ven has kind of been setting that.
I think you guys are just mad that I think Diabolous is going to win this, and you guys are all going to be wrong. So,
well, so
just
far,
trying to throw
it
shade.
looks like we're right.
So far, we're right.
We'll see how that goes. But my real point there is, I think when you are on a winning streak and you pause, I feel like that can kind of rub you off as well. Like you just want to keep on winning, right? So I feel like it can definitely go both ways with those pauses. Swapsy, very tactical player from that bench.
Yeah, I mean, even on the bench, he has impact on the series, and you know that Swapsy is the one locking in the compositions for Method Black. There's no way he would give that responsibility to anyone else on the side. The guy has been, he's been ruling World of Warcraft esports for such a long time. Yet to win BlizzCon with this new roster, but of course he does have 2 titles under his belt. We're going into the second mirror on Tiger's Peak. We'll see which team can lionize this one. Diabolous need to bounce back in this series. They find themselves 1-0 down so far.
Zico. Let's see how this one goes. Method Black right now, they are on the lead in this series, but I mean, on the day, Diabolous still up 3-1, so we definitely can't count them out. They are a team that have brought Method Black to a Game 7. I mean, just last week, that's what happened. So I expect this to be a very back and forth series. We'll have to see what they can get done. I mean, Diabolous, they managed to capitalize on Waz getting over-aggressive earlier on in the day. It doesn't seem like Waz is going to make that mistake again, but still, I think Diabolous, they can go after Raikou and just play it a little bit more consistently in the match. And I think if Alec had just used his Cold Snap earlier on, he would have been in a situation where he had his Ice Block. I mean, that really matters. I want to see these mages use the Cold Snap right away so they can get that third Ice Block available a little bit earlier on, but we will see Diabolous getting aggressive over onto Raikou with a Ring of Frost over onto Chaz, Polymorph onto Waz. Good control coming in from Alec. This could potentially be the first Ice Block, but Temporal Shield and Safeguard managed to keep Raikou alive, buy his team enough time for Chaz to land the Iron Bark, and that's enough defense where I think Raiku's really going to be able to survive.
I'm hoping we can actually ask Alec why he uses this Cold Snap strategy. He's one of the only mages that does it, where usually when you Ice Block, you press Cold Snap immediately to reset your Ice Block. He likes to just not reset the Cold Snap, sit on it, and try to have it later on. But overall, obviously, we've been critiquing it a lot. I'd love to know his thoughts on it exactly as to why he feels that that is the best way to utilize it, especially in this matchup, because that is something unique to him. Obviously, with both teams playing the same compositions, I think it's important to highlight the individual differences between the teams. We do see Waz initiating good crowd control here, stunning Alec and interrupting Asgrath, but he got intercepted by a Frost Nova and wasn't able to reconnect for damage. So he looked super stylish to set up, but if he's not poking someone, he's not going to be doing too much damage. Great denial of the reconnect on Waz from Diabolous.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. I think Raikou is actually going to be landing a Polymorph there. Actually, nice cross crowd control there over onto Nixie and Chess, but they get a nice dispel there as well onto that. Waz now as well caught up in a crowd control. You can see Alec taking a little bit of damage, but Asgrath has that Iron Bark to deflect with. And both of these Rogue Mage Druid teams basically are just trying to force out the Iron Bark as quickly as possible, try to Cyclone off the Temporal Shield, and then they get that big punch like that. Waz gonna be getting the first Ice Block here for his team from Alec, and Method Black, they are looking like they are here to play. They did not want to get knocked out without making it to the finals. You can see maybe it is true what Healingstad was alluding to a little bit earlier. Raikou looks like he's a little bit angry today because...
That's what I said.
Well, everybody has said that at some point.
Just take everything away from me today. Okay, whatever, man.
He didn't take everything away from me. He reminded you of the dying before Ice Block,
I
do believe. But Alec not looking to do the same here. He uses his Ice Barrier. You can see that massive kind of white addition to his health bar, about 20-30% of his health every single time he uses that Ice Barrier. One of the reasons that the mages are able to just kind of stabilize against each other. If you use Kleptomania, which obviously Raikou, you're asking why doesn't he just purge that Ice Barrier, then Alec will just steal it right back and then some. He'll get the jackpot, he'll get the double set of Druid Hots, and that's something that we have to really watch for. Blind over onto Asgrath. Honestly, it feels like Method Black just has complete dominance in this mirror so far. It's looking great for them, though. A big swap over onto Waz.
Yeah, big swap there. Smoke bomb by Nixie. Vendetta committed. He's going all in for this on Waz. Can he find it, or is Waz going to be able to survive? Chaz is still crowd controlled. Nixie's in pursuit to finish him. Evasion activated by Waz. If Nixie can shadow step behind and stun, it could be the end of the game. Chaz trinkets into another Cyclone. Gladiator Safeguard has proc from Waz. He's still critically low on health. Chaz is continuously crowd controlled, desperately trying to recover with Iron Bark and Feints. Is it going to be enough? Waz gets cycloned on 10%. Iron Bark is going to be fading. Nixie lining up for the stun, immediately pushing for the kill. Comet Storm comes crashing in from Alec, and it's too much damage, I think, for... I can't believe Chaz is able to keep him alive right now, hovering at 10% for roughly the last 20 seconds, somehow still alive.
That's unbelievable. I really can't believe it. Waz barely holding on, 5% health in that situation. Chaz used a lot of mana to keep him alive. Keep in mind, right now, Diabolous, they have a mana lead. Full blind on Chaz. Another kidney shot on Waz. They are not stopping this assault, but I can't help but feel like Waz, he survived. He's going to be fine, maybe? He's got the Vanish coming up in 10 seconds. I guess they get the Polymorph on Chaz, and Waz still in a lot of trouble. Diabolous with a very aggressive play. Waz dancing circles right now, trying everything he can to survive. Nixie managing to get back on target. Chaz sneaks in the Ironbark, and that's going to be enough for Waz to once again barely cheat death in that situation. He's not even specced into it, but still showcasing it here today.
He needs to connect onto Alec with that kidney shot now, because Alec used his ice block offensively, which means that he can be punished big time. There it is. Kidney shot, bash onto Asgard. Can they find the Ring of Frost? They find the Cyclone. Alec in big trouble here. Raikou doing what he can to defuse that situation. Frozen Orb gets connected. Alec trinkets out, blinks out. Ironbark is connected from Asgard. Both druids having fumes basically left in their mana bar. And Waz, he has survived the storm here. He has his Cloak of Shadows back off cooldown. He's getting his evasion back up soon. And more importantly, that smoke bomb is coming off cooldown for Waz, which means Alec could be in big trouble, as he just used his every man for himself ray shot on that kidney just now. Asgard full blind connecting. He's going to try to hold on to his trinket, but he might be too greedy. Raikou channeling out that Ray of Frost, gets the Ring of Frost follow-up. Asgard trinkets out of that one immediately. Chaz, beautiful Cyclone here on the temporal shield of Alec. Should be denying that defense right there. Now he's looking for the bash. Raikou doesn't have his Ring of Frost here though, so Chaz going to be going for that Cyclone. Gets interrupted, but it might be too late. Smoke bomb connect. Waz looking to take the serious, and in a miraculous fashion survives and makes it a 2-0 lead for Method Black, Benruki.
I mean, I can't help but feel like Waz got a little lucky there.
Yeah, a little lucky. That was ridiculous coming in from Method Black. I actually think there was a small gap between one of the Cyclones, which allowed a Swift Mend and an Ironbark to squeeze through. So maybe a small dropping of the ball there from Askaraf. But honestly, when Method Black do these swaps over onto Nixie, seems like he's always totally fine. Even Smoke Bomb plays, he always has an answer for. But Waz is being picked on a little bit by Diabolous, so close to dying. But you can't really afford to just tunnel down the road, because then Raikou just takes complete control of the game, Sid, and that's kind of what happened. They went all in with the strategy, they blocked offensive, they really went for that kill, were unable to find it, and then Method Black punished.
Well, that's what happens when you start falling behind on the ice block game, so you kind of forced into the rogue, but they may also have a false sense. I don't even want to say it's a false sense. I mean, Waz, I feel like he should have almost died in that game, but they killed Waz in 2 games in the series prior, so they obviously feel that's a weak point that they want to exploit.
Yeah, I mean, I can't fault Alec for blocking offensively too much. I mean, this was a situation where he did it. Waz was so low on HP, but as soon as that play has happened, then all of a sudden, you're so far behind. If Waz actually manages to survive there, then what are you gonna do? You're not gonna be able to win the ice block race. Waz has both of his major defensives up, and Alec, I mean, the only win condition left for you guys in Diabolous is to win on that mana. Not going to be able to happen, and you got to say as well that Smoke Bomb at the end there secures the game, but even at this point, I mean, you just have so much defense still on the side of Method Black. The mana is kind of tied up, so there's no real win condition for Diabolous once that kill has been lost. So I feel like going for it is still the right line of play, despite it not working. It was so close for Diabolous.
Yeah, and I mean, with cleaner execution, they probably could have just pulled through with the victory here. Tolvaron Arena, the next map pick, though I don't think the maps are too much of a factor here, as the two teams are just locking in the same compositions over and over and over. Diabolous, you know, last weekend, they did drop the first 2 maps in the grand final. They were able to bring it back to a Game 7, so still not out of it by any means in this situation. They've just got to kind of clean up some of those swaps. It does feel, though, that Method Black have the mage versus mage race on lockdown. They are doing better in that one overall. So Diabolous are being forced to shift strategies a little bit, and Method Black, they don't seem to have control of the game so much to that end. Like when Diabolous swap their strategy, it actually feels like Method Black often follows suit with that strategy, but then sometimes their execution's a little bit cleaner, and that's why they're able to pull through with these games.
I mean, Method Black just overall is looking really good. that was risky for Waz, and I feel like maybe one of the reasons why Method Black is ahead in the mage race is because Waz is, you know, committing a little bit more of those cooldowns, like the Cloak of Shadows and Vanish aggressively, and when Nixie doesn't use those, he's not able to put out as much pressure. I think overall in the game, when I was just looking at the damage meters, it just seemed like Method Black there were ahead. Raikou really putting out a lot more pressure. You have to give him credit. He's doing a lot more damage than Alec in these games. However, I feel like Alec, with the way he's dealing damage, it's a lot more targeted during those small burst windows, but you know, both mages, of course, going to be having slightly different playstyles. We'll have to see what Diabolous can really do in this situation. Still on the day, I have to say, it is 3-2 in favor of Diabolous. They could battle it back, but it just seems like Method Black right now, they're on fire.
Yeah, Method Black coming into the grand final strong. 2 maps up. It is a best of 7, so they need 4 wins here. And then, of course, you guys should stay tuned after that. We'll be heading into North America for the North American top 4. Lots of interesting games coming up there, fighting out for the summer finals, and Method Orange M2KC can basically secure it, so that's something to stay tuned for. We have the grand finals here, though. Method Black are 2 up, looking to secure yet another cup here in Europe.
Game 3, Diabolous looking to try and swing it back. Can they do it? Can they go all the way? They 3-0'd Method Black earlier in the day, but now they are struggling. I think Method Black are just playing a lot more assertive in the matchup. I would say that one thing specific to Alec's playstyle, and it's what won him BlizzCon back in 2017, is that he knows how to drag a fight on. He knows how to avoid damage and stay alive and keep the game going. It was a bit out of character to see him use the Ice Block aggressive in that last game, and he immediately got punished for it. But here with Tolvaron locked in, I do anticipate to see that old version of Alec back. Although blind on Azkarath with no Gladiator's Medallion is a desperate situation for Alec, and likely an Ice Block. Gladiator Safeguard procs, he doesn't panic, he doesn't overlap. Raikou is now low, his Gladiator Safeguard gonna proc, no panic on either side. Both Frost Mages keeping it calm, most importantly cool and collected.
Yeah, that was the vendetta of Waz, the icy veins of both mages, and both druids trading their trinkets for the blind. The Iron Barks are on cooldown as well, so in this next push we can expect the Temporal Shield to be active, and then both druids are going to be looking to cyclone those 2 up. You see Alec already taking a little bit of damage, and Raikou now caught up in that kidney shot, smoke bomb, but every man for himself, lining up with that cooldown. Raikou's going to be trading that next to Polymorph here onto Azkarath. I would be surprised to see Raikou take more damage than Alec in this situation. He gets the re-polymorph, but where's the Cyclone chest? Nice immediate counterspell there by Alec. Should be able to hold on to his Ice Block, but no, there's going to be enough damage with that Crucible of Flame Essence doing a lot of work here for Method Black in this opening stages.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things. I'm actually going to take a look at the build after this little segment here. Waz was running the Azurite Essence that gives him a little bit more damage. Raikou dropping a bit low, Ironbark forced to answer. Good low Cyclone once again from Azkarath, again highlighting the skill on these 2 Restoration Druids. 2 of the best in Europe. I think Looney also up there, Mimpoike also up there. There's quite a few good Druids in Europe, which is why we expect to see Europe doing well in these Druid metas. We'll see how they go up against the likes of, you know, Cub, Zigureki, Seadrew at the Blizz, or at the Summer Finals rather. Damage coming over once again to Raikou. Kidney shot. Cyclone over onto Chaz. Good cross-crowd control from Diabolous. They're getting better into this series. They're finding their comfort, though they're unable to force the Ice Block. Still one Ice Block down. Raikou does such a good job kiting away, denying damage during these, during these defensive periods.
Yeah, Raikou is looking for a Ring of Frost. He got denied. Nixie just hasn't been able to reconnect for such a long time. Comes in with the Shadow Step kick. Unfortunately for him, Raikou did manage to fake him. Now Nixie has to land that kidney shot. Can't let Raikou slip away once again, but Chaz landing the Cyclone. Nixie has really struggled to find damage in the matchup so far. Cheap shot coming in from Waz defensively on the Nixie. Raikou's going to be able to survive that kidney shot. A full polymorph now on Chaz. Raikou could definitely be in some trouble, but at the same time, Alex, he's caught into a kidney shot. A good offensive push here from Method Black. Alec, keep in mind, he's down 1 Ice Block so far in this match. Raikou's still nice and healthy with both of his. Cold Snap came out from Alec quite quickly, so it's likely we do see a 3rd Ice Block coming in the match, just based on what we've seen so far. Chaz a little bit behind in terms of mana. There is an offensive push here available for Method Black. There's the Vendetta, there's the Icy Veins. What is Method Black going to be able to get done?
Ironbark trades out here from Chaz, now counterspelled. Ironbark's defense going to be fading, an opportunity for Alec to push forward, but it's a risky gamble as he's going to get stunned up immediately. He wanted to push through for damage, but now his healer is in crowd control. He needs to be the one on defense, blinking away Frost Nova and Waz, but Raikou snipes Alec right after his Shimmer with the Frozen Orb, and now Alec can't escape the Frozen Orb, buying Waz time to reconnect. Nixie knows that Alec is in trouble after that maneuver, and he's trying to peel back and get Waz off of Alec, but he's still crowd controlled and having a difficult time doing so. Waz marches forward, gets cycloned by Asgarath. I think the mana advantage is certainly going to be the name of the game when we enter dampening. Chaz at some point I feel needs to get a drink.
Oh, beautiful stop there from Waz. Kicks the Ring of Frost of Alec, kidney shots Asgarath. He's trying to get a bark skin right there from Asgarath as well. A little bit of disrespect play, kind of trying to bait some extra cooldowns there. The main point of that play was to shut down the CC chain over onto Chaz, hold on onto one more ice block from Raikou, but like you mentioned, Sid, the Chaz mana bar is not looking great, and I've seen Diabolous win some of these mirrors at the back of the mana, so we can see here both mages just kind of lobbing out some crossbows. Chaz now looking to get the drink. Waz now caught up in a kidney shot. He has all of his cooldowns, and Chaz is going to deflect that with the Iron Bark, so potentially going to be looking for that drink now. Asgarath making his way across the map, and there it is. Method Black swapping over. If Raikou can stop Nixie, he should be able to stop that drink, but Nixie actually with the distract able to make sure that Chaz has to come out of stuff.
Yep, very well played, and I mean Chaz is so far behind on mana. Easy win conditions set up here for Diabolous if they can just keep it going. We see aggressive plays coming in. Asgarath tastes blood in the water. He wants to force out those ice blocks from Raikou. Full Cyclone. Looks like he should force it out. Safeguard not available, I do believe. That's just an ice barrier, although I wasn't sure for a second. We see Alec now caught up. He's taking a bit of damage. Nixie forced up into the Cyclone. Looks like once again, Raikou has survived, but Chaz is playing so aggressively with his mana. Asgarath melts the Cyclone. Well played by him. Traded out his drink. He's actually sitting down for a drink using this Shadow Meld. Very nice little min-maxing here. Chaz falling further and further behind, though in terms of ice blocks, Alec still doesn't have one, still only has one for a little bit of time here. Smoke bomb play from Waz, trying to punish that and force the second one out.
Yeah,
Can Alec stay alive here? Full blind onto Asgarath. Alec going to ice block here, and that's likely going to be the last one for some time. Sap now on Asgarath. Beautiful crowd control. This could be the end of the game if Method Black can stay on target. Alec polymorphing Waz, trying to stall as long as possible for that cold snap in 17 seconds.
We'll see what they can get done. Nixie's moving forward, still trying to get some damage rolling onto Waz. I mean, Alec, he has the cold snap rolling up in 10 seconds. He's going to have an ice block available. Waz could be in some trouble. He trinkets out. He's got no cloak, no vanish. He could be in a world of trouble right now. Raikou caught into a polymorph. Chaz trying to play catch up. There's no Iron Bark available. And these are the kind of setups you see from Diabolous consistently, but Waz managed to hold on in the last game. He's managing to hold on now, and they're going to continue their offensive push onto Alec.
Nicely done here by Diabolous. They get the Shadow Step kick onto Raikou, they get the counterspell onto Chaz, shutting down the setup, and then they land that bash into Cyclone themselves, getting themselves a little bit ahead. DR sheep shot here by Nixie over onto Chaz. Chaz did manage to get a little bit of a drink earlier on, so mana is currently a little bit tied up, and I believe that was the Kleptomania there coming out from Alec. I'm not sure. Waz now Shadow Step kicking that polymorph. Alec on that Frost Mage out on thin ice here. Raikou trying to net himself another ice block. The cold snap has been forced, so Alec only having one more ice block in this match potentially. Chaz sitting down for a drink. Raikou trying to slow down Asgarath with that Nova. I do believe he might have gotten a tick right there. Bash into Cyclone onto Asgarath. Was caught up in that kidney shot. Going to be using his feint to deflect that. Full Ring of Frost secured here. Chaz trinketing out of that Ring of Frost, but no Vendetta committed from Nixie, and the full blind is available as well. There's a big win condition here over onto Waz in about a minute from now when that blind comes back off cooldown and when that Vendetta comes off cooldown for Nixie.
Diabolous have a plot here to kill Method Black in Game 3. Will they be able to execute is the question. Asgarath caught up in a DR polymorph. Cyclone not available, but blind is for the follow-up. So both teams having to trade out trinkets off of the blind, actually defensively used by Nixie onto Waz. So that win condition we were talking about not going to play out, though Chaz has completely zero mana at this point in time. The sheep onto Raikou actually kind of plays into Method Black's hands, I feel like, though they're going for a big swap up onto Waz. Ironbark to answer. Chaz has no mana left, though quite frankly, neither of the Druids do. We're looking to see this game end momentarily here. Alec on the run, still has one ice block available, though that will be easily forced out here if Waz can keep up his uptime. Looks like he should be able to. Second ice block, now Diabolous so far behind. Waz doesn't have many defensive cooldowns granted, but the Rogue much harder to take down than the Mage in this situation. Alec has nothing.
Yeah, but look, Nixie's got Vendetta, and Waz, he really has no defensive cooldowns whatsoever. If Diabolous can hold on just a little bit longer, I think Waz is going to fall. Chaz has no mana. He's got no Ironbark. Nixie needs to carry the game. There's the kidney shot. Waz could easily fall. Nice Cyclone, though, from Chaz, keeping Waz alive. That Cyclone onto Nixie is the only thing, the only reason why Waz didn't just go down instantly in that kidney shot. Alec playing very defensively. Waz trying to run away. Nixie in hot pursuit right now. A bit of a 1v1 between these two rogues. Actually, Waz escaping and eating, taking advantage of those delicious mana buns Raikou was able to conjure a little bit early on in the game. Man, do they taste good.
Raikou is soloing Alec right now. Chaz is sapped. Nixie might try and kill Chaz. I mean, there's no other option. 5 seconds away from the Gladiator's Medallion, not able to. Actually, I think Nixie ran into the Shadow Side Eye, so his stealth is going to be broken. Alex done, no blocks for 3 minutes. Azgrath has 0 mana. If Waz even connects for a moment, it's going to be unhealable damage. Alec is desperate. He drops Frozen Orb, but it's not even snaring Waz whatsoever. Waz gets stunned up. He trinkets for the kill. They know they've got him on the ropes, and Method Black are looking likely to go to match point here. Alec blinking to safety alongside with Azgrath, but no mana remains. Smoke Bomb gets dropped by Waz. Vendetta in 12, and I mean, what defense is left for that? Raikou is just freely casting in the back line. They blind Nixie to go for the kill. They know they don't need crowd control on Azgrath. He has no mana. They Cyclone Alec. They deny the Innervate heals. They dispel off the Innervate, then switch the Cyclone. Beautifully executed by Chaz, and Alec is going to fall. Method Black come back strong for the rematch.
Such a close game there between Method Black. And I mean, I think it was pretty ingenious improvisation from Waz going to sit down, eat those food, eat the Raikou's buns, I suppose, at the very end of that one, getting the win. And that's kind of the situation where the game was so even, and then it is just that individual play, you know, recognizing not many people would think about that, running across the map to the other side, somewhere where you couldn't get found, going for that eating play, which is not something that we ever really see in Arena, finding the kill, and then obviously Method Black now with a 3-0 lead. They're looking like they're just going to win this one 4-0, which is kind of incredible considering they got knocked down 3-0 by the same team in the upper bracket.
Yeah, I mean, that food play, definitely. I think it's something that just comes from playing a lot of Rogue Mage 2v2. You can kind of get in those situations where you have to go for a reset where you eat, and Blizzard actually buffed the animation of the table. It looks a lot more crispier now in patch 8.2, so definitely keep an eye out for that in the starting rooms. And like you mentioned, it's very interesting to see Diabolous take this series in the upper bracket 3-0, and then now all of a sudden Method Black are leading 3-0 as well. You can really tell that these mirrors are just back and forth. It's anybody's game. We've seen reverse sweeps happen, so Diabolous definitely not out of it yet, but they can't be too happy with this situation. And the defensive blinds from Nixie and from Waz as well have really been crucial in this game. I mean, at this point, there's no point trading it out for a trinket from that healer. When both healers are out of mana anyway, you may as well reduce some of that incoming damage. So nice little adaptations like that from the rogues really shows that both of these rogue mages are playing on that top tier level.
I think like we have to really shout out Raikou. I mentioned it a few times during the game, but the amount of damage he's doing is really crazy. Yeah. He was actually the highest damage in that entire game. He was above both the assassination rogues, and Alex did, you know, roughly 60% of his damage. So it is a massive difference. And in a match like this, where it seems like you're going after as much pressure as possible, you're pressuring the Druid's mana bar, that damage really adds up. And I feel like that's kind of the X factor in this game that really is giving Method Black the advantage. Yeah, both teams are doing such a good job of kind of trading crowd control. The Druids playing Moonkin Affinity I think is super cool as well. It's not an affinity we talk about too much because Feral Affinity is just so great in terms of damage and stuns. The Guardian Affinity obviously very useful when you want to survive, but the Moonkin Affinity means that both these Druids are just chaining Cyclones, and at the end of the day, Raikou just being able to do almost double the damage of Alec is going to be a factor when it comes down to mana in that late game.
I feel like you've competed with Raikou before, and that's probably something that he always likes to brag about, is being the top damage in the match, and it's certainly that he strives, something that he strives for in every game. I think Alec, on the other hand, likes to perhaps focus just more on surviving isolating a target, extending the game until that exact moment in dampening where they go for a big push. That's how they won their BlizzCon title, so it's a significant playstyle difference between the two mages for sure.
Yeah, I think that's something, like we've talked about Alec in the past, like the guy, you know, he's got master's degrees, he's just doing everything at the same time as playing World of Warcraft. That's why his team doesn't necessarily have the same amount of time to practice as Method Black, but then we talk about them being very smart with their practice. You know, they're smart with their hours, they know what compositions work, and moreover, they're often the ones improvising new strategies for themselves, and that's how come they were able to win BlizzCon a couple of years back. Method Black, meanwhile, it almost feels like they're brute forcing this. They're just doing so much damage, so much good control, and Chaz, we talked about him as well, just making really good plays toward the end of that game.
I'm actually intrigued how Chaz is consistently losing on mana despite having a mage that's essentially doing double the damage of the other mage, because like I'm not sure what Asgard is doing way differently, but I feel like either Chaz is overhealing, or Asgard is running better essences, or Asgard is, I mean, he has been getting a couple of drinks off as well at more crucial times in some of the games, but even in games where he's not getting those drinks, I feel like he's just consistently ahead. I'm not sure what Chaz is doing to always be behind, but maybe it is one of the reasons why Raikou is also able to dish out so much damage, because Chaz is just prioritizing overhealing him, making sure that he never falls behind, because when you're at the 20% HP mark, you don't really want to be spamming out those frostbolts. If you get interrupted, things can definitely end up badly for you.
Yeah, I'm actually going to have a little look at that. I said I would look earlier because I was super curious, but I dropped the ball. I'm wondering if maybe one of them's running Conflict and Strife and the other one's running
the
Banner.
same.
So they are both running exactly the same talents. That's super interesting. Maybe it's just, as we said, Chaz prefers to overheal a little bit more, keep his team offensive, but that does come with the risk that in the late game you will lose out.
I mean, it might also come down to the fact that we're seeing Diabolous go after Waz, and I mean, that could be taxing Chaz's mana quite a bit. Of course, Waz doesn't have the same luxury, just kleptomania back every single heal over time effect that Alex steals from him. So these scary situations where Waz is barely holding on, you know, kleptomania is coming in from Alec. That's a lot of healing Chaz is having to put out. And it also allows Raikou to do a lot more damage. So I'm curious to see what damage looks like in this game. Hopefully we can get that for you guys. Blind Sap now over on the Chaz. Ironbark trades out preemptively on that blind. Nice plays from Chaz, keeping Raikou aggressive. Icy Veins rolling for both mages. Alec getting bursted down. Raikou actually getting the worst end of this exchange. Is he going to be able to hold on?
All right, Asgarath using the Gladiator's Medallion for blind. Chaz was able to not have to commit that cooldown because he read the situation in pre-Ironbark, so it's a slight lead for Method Black certainly, but Asgarath is trying to turn it around with a Cyclone onto Chaz. Beautiful, chained into his second Cyclone. Can he line up the third? Doesn't get the third. Now Chaz is going to get a second to recover. Temporal Bind even further time. Alec taking some hits, and this is the thing about Method Black is they'll just toss out damage even if they don't have crowd control. Asgarath pre-Ironbarks the Smoke Bomb. Both of these druids are playing at an extraordinary level of mind games.
Yeah, and we see a setup getting denied there, very, very crucial. If Method Black were able to secure that one, that would surely have been Alex's first ice block. And I feel like another reason why Raikou is able to do so much damage is because they're just landing these setups a lot of the time. It just feels like they're getting more crowd control over onto the healer. Some of that might be because Waz is just burning through his defensives to help set up the team. Some of that might be because Chaz and Raikou synergy is just straight up better. I'm not sure, but here once again, Alec on the back foot. Asgarath, no Ironbark for a couple of seconds. Alec's gonna blink back defensively. Nova up Waz here, and that should be able to stabilize him. But now Waz is able to connect here with a kidney shot. Nice Cyclone from Chaz, and once again, Alec on the back foot, but he's doing a good job dragging Waz all the way behind there. Waz looking to get the kidney shot. Preemptive Ironbark onto Chaz, allows Waz to overextend, and these are the kind of plays that is just taxing Chaz's mana a lot more. And the fact that he's just spamming out these Cyclones.
Yep, he is doing a really good job of spamming out the Cyclones though. I mean, Cyclone's kind of one of those abilities where we talk from time to time, is it worth it? It did get mana cost reduced significantly. I believe it costs 1.2 or 1.4k mana every Cyclone, but equally, if you spend that time cycloning and you get counterspelled, you know, you can be put behind and forced to heal less efficiently. We actually see Chaz's Trinket forced outside of the blind there, so potential opening as Waz is dropping very low. These swaps from Diabolous to the Rogue are kind of paying off a little bit here for Diabolous. Let's see if they can get a kill. The blind sap defensively onto Nixie, but that's definitely a win condition. No Vanish, no Cloak of Shadows on Chaz, and the full blind on Chaz could potentially win the game for Diabolous very early on here.
Yeah, that was really good evasive plays. Waz was in so much trouble in that situation. He had no cloak, he had no Vanish. Nixie was coming in, trying to take him down, but Waz got the kidney shot first, into a blind, into a sap. That bought Chaz enough time to really land heals. Really good defensive play there by Waz, keeping himself alive. He could have easily fallen. This is what happens. I mean, Diabolous, they took down Waz 2 times earlier on in the day, but Waz is not one of those players who's gonna be fooled. You know, he's gonna be tricked into the same situations multiple times. You can fool him once, but not necessarily twice. I think when Waz is playing so well defensively, I just don't see how Diabolous can really take him down. I'll have to see, though, what they can do. Raikou now getting pressured. Now Azgrath actually way behind in mana in this situation. Chaz doing a really good job. I'm not sure if he actually snuck away for a drink or what, but it does look like Diabolous once again is on the back foot.
All right, can they recover? They're behind on mana at this point. Ice blocks are still even at least. Waz tries to pre-evasion the attack, but wasn't able to avoid the stun. A bit unfortunate. Now has to commit the Cloak of Shadows as well. 2 significant cooldowns out of Waz's defensive bank, and we have seen that they love to target Waz, potentially taking him out here in game number 4 as they try to attempt the reverse sweep. Waz is going to get zapped out, and they're going to stay alive in the tournament. Method Black not getting that clean sweep.
Yep, no clean sweep for Method Black. Diabolous finally find the kill over onto Waz. Of course, they won 2 of their games in the upper bracket with kills on Waz. Here, Waz definitely made it a little bit more challenging for them, but they were relentless, unrelenting in their chase, and able to pull through with a victory. Still a long way to go, though. They need 3 more wins. They basically need a repeat of the upper bracket. They need to copy-paste that and perform to that level if they are to win this tournament.
Yeah, but I feel like that's the mentality Diabolous has now. We 3-0 them in the upper bracket. If we do another 3-0 like that, we're done. Take it one game at a time, and a lot of their wins is at the back of having a mana lead or killing Waz. And I feel like in this game they were behind in the mage race, or actually they were tied in the mage race, but they were behind in mana. However, they were ahead when it came to forcing out some of these cooldowns. Waz, I feel like he could have played this game a little bit more careful. Here Chaz gets blinded up fully, and that's an uncharacteristic thing from Chaz here, getting blind sapped like that without a trinket. I'm not sure, actually. He trinketed out of a Ring of Frost, I believe, when Nixie hadn't used his Vendetta and didn't have his blind active, so I feel like that's a pretty big misplay to make, and that of course means that they can secure the kill. Waz dropping that defensive smoke bomb is not going to be enough to keep him alive there. Beautiful CC chain from Diabolous and beautiful execution with that Ray of Frost. Of course, if you start channeling it before someone line of sights you, it goes through the pillar like that. So Alec with a nice execution on that one.
Yeah, watch the rainbow, taste the rainbow, or something like that. Waz definitely tasted it. Not sure he enjoyed it too much at the end of that one. We're going to have North America coming up after this, but the grand finals very much not over yet. Diabolous looking to fight back here. 1 game on the board. They need 3 more to beat Method Black. We are here with potentially the final game of the series. Method Black are 1 away, but Diabolous, they're starting to fight it back. They get the win with the kill on Waz. They need 3 more, similar to what they did earlier in the day, to reverse sweep this. It would be absolutely incredible if Method Black, after all the twists and turns we've had here in Europe today, if Method Black were to be defeated, having been 3-0 up, that would be, I mean, it would just be insane.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is match point on Ruins of Lordaeron, and as you already probably know, even without me saying, it would be a fitting final resting place, as it is a cemetery.
I don't want to talk after that.
Yeah,
Fine, I will. Azgarath, the target early on from Method Black. A bit surprising, but maybe not so much on this map. It's definitely a high aggression map. Chaz stunned up, but he pre-iron barks. Both of these druids, both Azgarath and Chaz, have been reading in anticipation the crowd control chains, and it is why they're capable of extending these matches for such a long period of time.
Well,
Black
here, caught up in kidney shots. Full Cyclone secured onto Azgarath. And yes, I am going to cut you off, Sid, because that joke needs a final resting place. DR
Ruins of Lordaeron would also be a fitting final resting place.
Yes, sir. Azgarath caught up in a DR kidney shot. Waz with the Vendetta looking to create some pressure, and he's not going to be able to find it just now. Polymorph secure. secured and Cyclone secured over onto Nixie. Now another setup here by Diabolous. They're not out of it yet. Alec in trouble. Raikou equally so. Who's gonna fall then? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. Asgrath trinkets out of the blind, gets the Iron Bark over onto Alec. Raikou's getting low. Both mages, both teams essentially mirroring here. Both druids trade out their trinkets at the exact same time. They trade out their Iron Bark at the exact same time. Both mages manage to survive, and Raikou is actually going to be able to get healed up in this situation. Both teams are sort of reset in this moment. If we look at cooldowns, it's even. I mean, the one thing Nixie has going for him right now is he still has the smoke bomb available. Alex sort of weathered that storm from Waz. Raikou in some trouble. Cyclone on Chaz. A recyclone coming in from Asgrath. Do they have any more follow-up crowd control? Nice Cyclone. Asgrath is going insane in this match.
Asgrath is going insane. The Cyclone at low health could be enough to get an ice block by Raikou. Can he manage to get enough damage squeezed in to force it? It's so close, it's so narrow. The smoke bomb gets dropped. Even still with the smoke bomb, they're not getting it. Chaz bashed up into a Ring of Frost. This has to be enough. Can they connect the damage? Temporal is ticking away, absorbing these hits. He gets cycloned on the Temporal. This has been an absolutely bonkers crowd control chain, and finally, it is going to net them the ice block.
Asgaroth really taking this game and putting it on his shoulders. The Cyclones have been so good in this match. Cycloning Raikou on his Temporal Shield, Cycloning Raikou on his Safeguard, sneaking it back over onto Chaz. They finally get an ice block, and for the first time in this series, they're ahead in the mage race.
Yeah, this is not something we typically see, and now Method Black immediately chasing after Asgaroth. Waz has a lot of pressure here. If the rest of Method Black can connect, that could be it for Diabolous. They have to be a little bit careful, but he has Iron Bark, he has Barkskin. Nixie gonna support him with that cheap shot. Asgaroth gonna follow that up with the Cyclone, and Alec again, he gets a polymorph over onto Waz. That Ring of Frost though, a little bit misplaced, but Asgaroth is there to back him up with the Cyclone, and if Alec can, he could snipe a Ring of Frost out of that DR Cyclone. Not gonna choose to go for it, unfortunately, as he gets Cyclone now by Chaz. Waz still gunning for Asgaroth, but he has to go and support Raikou. I think they should still commit to the mage race, just play it from behind. I think that they can still recover easily. Chaz mana not looking great, but Asgaroth's mana equally so. And if Method Black can hold on and survive for a long period of time, this could just be one of those games where they win on mana.
Yeah, these are two teams that really ride the momentum. When they're winning, they'll keep winning. When they're losing, trouble can potentially rise here. Method Black did lose the last game. Now they're falling behind on Ruins of Lordaeron. It's looking like the reverse is very possible here. Asgrath, good crowd control. Actually, Trinket forced out from Chaz prior to the blind. Another opening.
Nice
Beautiful cyclone coming in from Asgrath. They're looking for the second ice block here. If they force the second ice block before dampening, it's going to be detrimental to Method Black's chances. Asgrath is on fire. They're looking for it. DR Cyclone, is it going to be enough? Nixie can't connect. He can't get the damage, but he does finally. Temporal Shield, ice block, everything forced out, and Diabolous looking like they might take the game.
Asgaroth is actually playing insane in this match. These Cyclones have been so beautiful, single-handedly forcing out both ice blocks from Raikou with those plays. Now Alec in a prime position where he can get aggressive. He's got both of his ice blocks. Method Black is on the back foot in game number 5. Another Cyclone snuck in by Asgaroth onto Chaz. Raikou taking quite a bit of damage, trying to reverse the damage over onto Alec, but Alec's gonna be fine. There's a bash. Finally, Chaz getting some crowd control himself. Polymorph secured over onto Asgaroth. Alec gets locked out. He's trying to control Waz, trying to avoid damage, trying to weather the storm. Is he going to be able to do it is the question. We have just entered dampening. Alec getting low. An interrupt on the Chaz, snuck in by Alec as he trinkets out of the kidney shot. And also has to use his ice block, unfortunately.
Method Black trying to keep themselves in this, but they're desperate. They blind Nixie on top of a polymorph, a panic attack there. Now Nixie's on both crowd control, diminishing returns. He's going to get a lot of uptime, and right now while Chaz is crowd controlled, that's the last thing that Raikou wants to have happen is a lot of Nixie uptime. Raikou gets cycloned on the Temporal Shield. Asgaroth has been making play after play after play, but Cyclone isn't free. Look at his mana. He's not going to be able to keep doing this forever. Going for another Cyclone onto Waz, spending basically the remainder of that. Although now Nixie with Vendetta available could set up the power play. You can tell that Method Black, they're not feeling the mage race anymore. They're trying to go after Nixie. They managed to bait out the evasion. Nixie trying to anticipate the stun and just stay on target. He's got Vendetta. He's going to pop it. He's going to gun for a win here. Chaz gets Iron Bark connected prior to the smoke bomb. It needs to be enough to keep Raikou alive, but will it be? Raikou blinks to safety. Ice Barrier soaks the hit. Safeguard gets stripped off, and now Nixie is in trouble. They're on match point, and Method Black close it out 4-1.
Yeah, really nice swap coming in from Method Black. Was actually, I think, the playmaker at the end of that one. Finds the smoke bomb, both defensively saving Raikou and, more importantly, offensively killing off Nixie here. And Method Black are the champions. A good 4-1 series for them.
Beautiful stuff.